Today is September the 17th. How am I supposed to treat my siblings? Let's find out together as we study Genesis 4 and several other passages throughout Scripture. All this week we've been looking at the relationships that form in families and how the image of God is to dictate how we treat each other. We've looked at husband and wives. We've looked at parents and children. Today we look at siblings. It is very interesting that the first 5 chapters of Genesis set the stage for everything in the rest of Scripture, and especially in families. Genesis chapter 4 tells us the story of Cain and Abel. In the first 2 verses, Adam and Eve give birth to Cain and then to Abel. When they grew up, Abel became a shepherd, while Cain cultivated the ground. When it was time for the harvest, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. Abel also brought a gift, the best of the firstborn lambs from his flock. The Lord accepted Abel and his gift, but he didn't accept Cain and his gift. This made Cain very angry, and he looked dejected. Now God comes down and he speaks to Cain about his depression. If you'll notice, as we work our way through the passage, it jumps back and forth. First it mentions Cain, then Abel, then Abel, then Cain, then Cain, then Abel, then Abel, then Cain. Now, jumping back and forth like that, the author is showing us that with God there is no favoritism. But when it came to their offerings, the Lord accepted Abel's offering, but not Cain's. Because Abel offered animals? No. We find later that fruit, grain, wine, these were all acceptable offerings to God. Animals, certain animals, could also be acceptable offering. As God talks to Cain about his depression, we see the real issue here. In verse 7, God says, "You'll be accepted if you do what's right, but if you refuse to do what's right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at the door, eager to control you, but you must subdue it and be its master. Sin desires you and is seeking to dominate you." The very same thing that God said to Eve. You will desire your husband and seek to dominate him. Sin now is desiring Cain and seeking to dominate him. God says you have to learn to dominate sin, but instead, Cain goes out in bitterness and kills Abel. Now, we see here 2 of the things that crop up again and again when we see the story of siblings in the Old Testament. Jealousy. Cain is jealous of Abel because Abel's sacrifice is accepted. God tells Cain, your sacrifice can be accepted too. It's a matter of how it's presented. Cain doesn't get it, and he kills Abel. All throughout the Old Testament, here in the book of Genesis, we see the same story playing out again and again. Jacob and Esau, Isaac had two sons. Esau was the firstborn, Jacob born after him. Jacob became jealous of Esau's birthright, and he tricked him out of it. Then Esau wanted to take vengeance on Jacob. The birthright wouldn't apply if my brother was dead. Jacob realizes this and flees and is absent for 20 years. Jacob has 12 children. The 10 older brothers are jealous that their father is named the 11th brother, Joseph, as the firstborn. And so they sell him into slavery and tell their dad that he's dead. We see in the kings of Israel, sometimes, actually many times, when there are brothers born to a particular king, the king who becomes king kills his brothers so that there's no chance of them becoming king. We even see in Jesus' parables the prodigal son. One son takes his birthright, his portion of the inheritance, and squanders it away. He comes back home asking to be made a slave. His father takes him and says, "No, you're a son." The older son, seeing that, is jealous. There is incredible jealousy among siblings. And when there is, it becomes the death of that family. But throughout Scripture, we see good examples too. Moses, Aaron, and Miriam are the three sons of Jochebed and Aminadab, I think his name is. Miriam is the oldest. When Jochebed gives birth to Moses, Miriam actually watches over Moses. She is Moses's helpmeet, performing the function of God in Moses's life, protecting him and putting him in a situation where he is actually adopted into the royal family. Peter and Andrew, James and John, brothers who were called to be disciples of Jesus. There doesn't appear to be jealousy there. Now, the disciples didn't get everything right, but at least there is no sibling rivalry going on. Jesus' own brothers, he has several brothers named in Mark chapter 3. One of those, James, at first is jealous of Jesus and the attention that Jesus is getting. But after Jesus' death and resurrection, James understood, and he falls in line. He eventually becomes the leader of the early church. You see, jealousy among siblings can destroy a family. Jealousy in general can destroy. Job chapter 5 verse 2 says, "Surely resentment destroys the fool, and jealousy kills the simple." In the book of James, James chapter 3 verses 14 to 18 say, "If you are bitterly jealous and there is selfish ambition in your heart, don't cover up the truth with boasting and lying, For jealousy and selfishness are not God's kind of wisdom. Such things are earthly, unspiritual, demonic. Wherever there's jealousy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and evil of every kind. But the wisdom that's from above is first of all pure. It's peace-loving, gentle at all times, willing to yield to others. It's full of mercy and good deeds. It shows no favoritism. It is always sincere. Those who are peacemakers will plant seeds of peace and reap a harvest of righteousness. How are we to treat our siblings? That last list in James is a good start. Peace-loving, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy, full of good deeds, shows no favoritism, always sincere. It's a peacemaker. Forget about jealousy. Forget about sibling rivalries. If you're as old as I am, you'll remember two comedians, the Smothers Brothers, Tommy and Dickie Smothers. Part of their shtick was Tommy would say, "Mom always liked you best." There was favoritism, there was jealousy there. You got a dog, I only got a chicken. We laugh about it, but it's not very funny. How am I supposed to treat my siblings? Look at that list again. Peace-loving, gentle, willing to yield, merciful, good deeds, no favoritism, sincere, be a peacemaker. Treat your siblings like that, and you'll find them treating you in similar ways in return. Like, follow, subscribe, and share on whatever platform you used to listen to this devotional. Email your questions to us at questions@becomehope.com. We'll see you in church on Sunday.